Lankinen. But the Bruins unable to capitalize on this one. Quick turnaround for them. They're off to the island, taking on the Islanders tomorrow night. Latest college football rankings are out. No changes in the top four. Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State. Patriots, a surprise move today, releasing left guard Michael Jordan. Started 11 of the 12 games, played 88% of the snaps, and he's gone. I don't want him anymore. Instead, they've claimed guard Lester Colton off waivers from the Miami Dolphins. Patriots were on the practice field today. Drill Peppers was back in the building after being reinstated by the league yesterday. Celtics are off until Friday when they take on Chicago in the final game of the NBA Cup group stage. C's beat the Clippers by 22 last night, 16 for Kristaps Porzingis in his return to the lineup. And John Heyman wrote tonight the Red Sox have stepped up their efforts in their pursuit of Juan Soto. Let's keep in mind that's John Heyman. Who is Juan Soto's agent? Scott Boras. Who does John Heyman report things on behalf of? Scott Boras. Please tread carefully. Headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Matt McCarthy. I'm Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10:30.
Boston plays here.
Pritchard, half court. It's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now Besser from the left hash marks. Hands off over there to Garland. Down low for Besser. Continue to cycle it around. Up top here for Hughes with a shot. Deflected. Save made. Rebound score. And it's Jake DeBrusk with the backhand.
Where's Lobe? I'm going to get Lobe on this. Why can't we get players like that? And listen, I'm not a huge Jake DeBrusk guy. Obviously, a maddeningly frustrating player. During his time in Boston. Obviously flashed some things. That game at Fenway in the Winter Classic was awesome. The broken leg, the 2 goals, all that. I mean, at times, DeBrusk could be an impact player, but at times he was just a passenger. So I'm not here to romanticize about Jake DeBrusk and say, wow, if you had Jake DeBrusk, where would you be? Boy, you really need Jake DeBrusk. That would be inconsistent with how I felt about Jake DeBrusk. And I think how a lot of Bruins fans have felt about Jake DeBrusk. Obviously, a really frustrating player with some talent for sure, and at times a good player and an impact player, but just not consistent enough. The fact of the matter is, though, you did not replace Jake DeBrusk. How about just replace, let alone upgrade from, which really was one of the issues the Bruins had for quite some time. If you go back to 2019, if you have a better version of Jake DeBrusk, I don't know, if you draft Matt Barzal instead of Jake DeBrusk, maybe you win the Stanley Cup. But at times, I mean, listen, DeBrusk is a good player in this league. He got $38 million. Somebody else can pay him that. I don't want to pay him that. But who's the replacement player? Who's the guy getting $38 million in place of Jake DeBrusk? Who's the guy playing top 6 minutes on the wing in place of Jake DeBrusk? And the answer is Justin Brazeau. Or somebody like that. Or Morgan Geekie. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And that's where you look at the talent on this team and you say, should this be better? Yeah. Should they score more goals than they have this year? Yeah. But by how much of a margin are we talking about? There are just some limitations here with this roster. I think we all understand that. This roster isn't good enough. The talent isn't good enough. They're up against the cap. So you look at Don Sweeney and the roster he's constructed, and it feels like they're always short. And they certainly have been under Don Sweeney. They're always short, and they're shorter than they have been in some time. It's not all about the coaching. It's not. Montgomery needed to go. Frankly, if you ask me, they shouldn't have brought him back, especially now that we know he spent the last 6 months flirting with the Blues and wanting to end up there, and he finally ended up there. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But it's more than that. It's more than the coaching. It's the talent. It's the players on the roster. And it's the best players. We've been on the air for less than 10 minutes. I haven't mentioned David Pastrnak yet. Not good enough. Needs to be better. Undeniably needs to be better. 2 goals in the last 13 games for David Pastrnak. 2 goals. Can't capitalize on breakaways. Is bombing the puck over the net by miles on power play shots. He had some good looks tonight. And he's had good looks. And he hasn't finished. And you can say, listen, sometimes players go through stretches where they're snake bit and all that. Sure, right? But they need him right now. They desperately need him right now. They can't get away with it. They can't get away without him. He is an $11 million a year player. And he's not playing like it. 2 goals in the last 13 games. It's not enough. It's not enough. To you, 617-779-0985. I guess the question is, I've done my complaining. How do you fix it? And the frustrating thing is, I don't really know if I have a great answer to that. I've got a plan. I don't think it's a good one. By the way, that's always a good way to approach a plan. Skaz, I'm going to come to you and say, Skaz, I've got a plan. And you say, great, McCarthy. And I say, but it's not good. I mean, up front, I'm just going to tell you, honestly, my plan is not good. So come with me. Come with me to hell. We'll charge the gates. Plan's not good, but follow me anyway. I'll share my plan with you momentarily. But to you first. Mikey in West Roxbury. Mikey!
Fellas, how we doing? Listen, I have joy and I have exuberation in my heart, and it's because I'm no longer at that game. I'm no longer at that game. Listen, short term, we're going to be fine, whatever. But listen, long term, Marchand, I so appreciate everything he's done for us. He is an instigator. He is not a captain. A captain doesn't let this happen. He chirps. He gets in fights. He throws jabs like he did at that goaltender in the third period. He is not a captain. I'm joyful because I'm no longer sitting in my $400 ticket in section 328, row 14.
All right. I want to hang out with Mikey at his next game. Section 328, row 14. Mikey, I'll go with you anytime to the game. You sound like a fun guy to enjoy the game with. I'm glad I took that call. I was hovering over the drop button right there. My sports radio spidey senses said, I don't like where this is going. Once you start talking about the joy you had at the game, like this guy's a jokester, right? And not in a good way. All right. The complaints about Marchand are going to start to build, though. They are. Is he really a leader? Is there a leadership void on this team? Yeah, I've lost a lot of veteran players over the years, and recently. Bergeron, Chara, you name it, Krejci. We can point to leadership all you want. I just think it's more about the talent. I do. I think it's more about the talent than it is about the leadership. You want to question it? But fine, have at it. 617-779-0985. You want to say Marchand's not the right guy for the job? I want to focus more on Marchand's play on the ice, though, because Marchand hasn't been good enough this year. Pastrnak hasn't been good enough this year. Elias Lindholm hasn't been good enough this year. You got 3 guys right now in double digits in points. Pastrnak, Marchand, Lindholm. 19, 15, 10. Do you feel good about the way any of those 3 guys have played? Can't say I do. So I'll focus more on the performance. You can focus on whatever you want. Mark in the car. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
What's going on, man?
Hey, so I'm coming from the Garden. There was a lot of talk at the Garden tonight where I was sitting. Loge 21, by the way, not section 328. But
fancy guy here, Mark.
apparently Kreider wants out of New York. What possibly could the Bruins trade to the Rangers for Kreider, number one? And you asked about the replacement for DeBrusque. Yeah, it's Lindholm, $54 million. Where has he been, Matt? Where has he been?
It's a great question, Mark, and thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean, Lindholm, I suppose, is the salary replacement for DeBrusque, but center wing, that's ultimately what I'm saying. With that, he hasn't been good enough. And we were sort of warned on Elias Lindholm. Kevin Majori, who's maybe the best hockey, certainly one of the best hockey guys at the station here. You got Majori and Ty, you name it. He said to me, he wanted Lindholm. And, I was asking him about him last year, and I said, what do I need to know about Elias Lindholm? And he said, ideally, he's your number 2 center. So that immediately gave me pause. I'm like, okay, so he isn't really the guy. And you're going to ask him to come in here and be the guy. He's winning some draws, won some draws tonight, but you have nobody who can put the puck in the net because you don't have any wingers. No, Lindholm hasn't been good enough. And, 3 goals this year? They need more from him. Did he have 40 goals a few years ago, Lindholm? Did he have 42 goals, if memory serves?
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing with Lindholm is he had one really good year,
Right.
21, 22, 42 goals, but he's never scored more than 30 in any other season. 29 and 19, 20, and 22, 27, 19, 17, 16. I don't want to say Bruins fans were misled with the Lindholm thing, but he's not a 30-goal scorer. He's done it one time. He's a 25 ish, he's 75 points kind of guy that is supposed to, be a good two-way player. But yeah, how could you not be disappointed with him so far?
You have to be. You have to be disappointed with Elias Lindholm. And you want to say he's a 75-point-a-year guy? He's only done that twice in his career. He's only had 60 points or more twice in his career. 3 times, actually. Sorry, I was told there would be no math. 65 points or more 3 times in his career. Yeah, that's not good enough. It's not good enough from the Bruins' best players, plain and simple. Caller asked about Kreider. He said, what would you give up for Kreider? You need to have a real discussion as to whether or not this team is worth investing in. This is not, let's try and go win a cup, so let's trade for Chris Kreider. Would he make the team better? Yeah, of course, but they've traded 1 million first-round picks. They've traded draft capital all over the place. Maybe it's time for more of a reset on that approach. And the question is, who's making that draft pick? Because I don't want it to be Don Sweeney. That's the bigger question you need to ask yourself as a Bruins fan. Like, look at this roster. It's what I keep going back to. It's not good enough. And they made 2 big signings this offseason. I don't feel good about Zadorov, and I don't feel good about what I've seen from Lindholm. And generally, say what you will about Don Sweeney, he's made bad moves at the NHL level, but generally they've been pretty good. Of course, there's the David Backes, signing, and there. Don't get me wrong, there are moments, but pretty consistently he's been decent at the NHL level. Those 2 big signings this offseason, not good. 617-779-0985. Couple open phone lines, grab them. I said I've got my plan. Are you ready for my plan, Skaz, that I will tell you right now is not good? You're shaking your head. You don't seem ready for this.
I guess we'll find out.
You'll find out next. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray. I can fix the Bruins, except I have no faith that this plan's going to fix the Bruins. I'll explain.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to
No Joe tonight. He's off. And he tweeted out that he's happy that he is. See, he doesn't want to talk about this game. I can't say I blame him. I mean, there is a lot to talk about. It's not a good night for the Bruins. But, yeah, Joe had it figured out. Joe Murray, who Jim Murray said to me about 2 weeks ago, had his vacation time figured out better than anybody at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I do believe Joe has a lot of vacation time coming up. It's my understanding, just based on the schedules I've seen moving forward. So you're gonna get some of me. So that's a fair warning. Fair warning to you all out there. Me, Matt McCarthy, with my plan to fix the Bruins. It's a 1-point plan. You know why? Because I can't come up with anything else. Point 2, don't have one for you. Sorry. Asking the wrong guy. I don't think the Bruins have a plan. How do you get more scoring? What type of changes can you make to get more scoring? And my only answer for you is to call up Lysell and Merkulov. Now, here's the problem with that. They suck. They're not good. Skaz, you looked this up during the break. How many goals does Fabian Lysell have in Providence this year?
2.
How many games?
I believe it was 13. I will double check.
Oh, so the same number of goals that David Pastrnak scored in the last 13 games. You don't need to look up Merkulov's stats.
He has 3 goals.
Okay, in basically the same number
yes,
of games.
Lysell has played 14. It looks like Merkulov has played 13.
Okay. Yeah, neither of them can play, and that's the problem. That's an issue. But you might as well see it at this point. Basically, just honestly to shut everybody up about it. Like, yeah, hey, here's Fabian Lysell. Finally. Here's why he hasn't been in the NHL, because he can't play. Can't play. Can't score. Can't play. But it's not like you have anybody else up here who can at this moment, so you might as well give it a shot. Yep, he hasn't proven it at the AHL level, but there's talent there. Bring him up. See if you catch lightning in a bottle. Give it a shot for 10 games. Why the hell not? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? It's my question. If not now, when? By the way, too. This team may be a playoff team. They may not be a playoff team. They're not a cup contender this year. What do you have to lose? Give it a shot. And yes, I say give it a shot knowing that they suck. But it's not this. It's not what I watched tonight. Why the hell not? Give it a shot. 617-779-0985. Let's go to Gavin in the car. Gavin!
Yeah. Talk about Coyle. Like, where's Charlie Coyle?
Gavin, are you on speakerphone? That didn't go so hot. Did I hear where's Charlie Coyle? Is that what I heard?
I believe so.
He's not doing anything. I'm a Charlie Coyle defender. I like Charlie Coyle. I can't defend this. We can focus on the secondary scoring all you want. Coyle, Marchand, Pastrnak, Zacha, Lindholm. You feel good about any of those guys right now? Any of them? Frederick. You feel good about Frederick? Who, again, you're expecting to be a top 6 forward for you. I mean, based on the way the team was built, you were hoping Trent Frederick or somebody could take a leap. And that hasn't happened. You know why? Because Trent Frederick is a third-line player. Maybe a fourth-line player on a championship team. Lindholm, Coyle, Zacha, Pastrnak, Marchand. Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. That's how you score 3 goals in 3 games. Alex in the car. Hey, Alex.
Hey, so anyone who thought that Lindholm was going to be the savior for this team as the 1C is crazy. His big 40-goal season, he had Gaudreau, Johnny Gaudreau, and Matt Tkachuk as his wingers. They drive the play, they make big plays, and Lindholm's responsible defensively. That's what he's good at. He's never going to be elite 1C. That's not his job. He's not going to pot 40 goals. unless you have elite wingers next to him, which the Bruins do not have. And I don't know why anybody thought that was going to be the case. That's all I have to say about that.
No, Alex, it's a really reasonable point. And you're right. I mean, I should have put that together. You look at that 2022 season and you say it's Gaudreau and Tkachuk. Yeah, that makes sense. And you know what? After seeing Lindholm play, I can see that. Lindholm's not terrible, but he's not your number one center. But you're paying him to be your number one center. You put him in the right situation, as you said, yeah, Lindholm will be successful. But this is not the right situation. It's just not. And then his shortcomings become apparent. And you say, yeah, for that money, he needs to be better than this. You can make the point that it wasn't realistic to expect that. Yeah, I agree. And that was the concern this summer. You say, okay, you just gave a lot of money to a player who's good, not great. You did need a center so badly. I mean, you watched that series against Florida last year, and you're like, you don't have a single guy who can go to the dot and win you a faceoff. You know, Lindholm went to the dot and won you faceoff after faceoff after faceoff tonight. I'm sitting here listening to the game. You know, opportunities on the power play. Another win for Lindholm. Another win for Lindholm. Okay, there you go. There's nobody else who can score because David Pastrnak can't get his head out of his ass, and Pavel Zacha isn't that guy. And Brad Marchand is 36 years old coming off hip injuries. Patrick and Weymouth. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for taking my call. I was at the game tonight. It was just, it's not Bruins hockey right now. I don't think Sweeney will do anything. I think he's got a comfy job, and I think he's happy with it. But if I were him, I would really look to make a big shakeup. And I think, to your point and the caller's point earlier tonight, that the Rangers also need to make a shakeup. They have 7, I think, impending free agents and $22 million in cap space next year. Igor Shesterkin's going to take up 11 of that. They got to move off of some pieces. I think you send Brad Marchand to the New York Rangers, and I think you look to get Chris Kreider back, and you're going to take off some of that salary off their books. You're going to shake up the locker rooms. They're going to be able to use Marchand way better than we can, and Kreider will come in, provide a little bit more stability, and maybe it'll wake Pastrnak up. Maybe it'll wake up Charlie McAvoy. Maybe they'll be like, oh, our jobs are actually, worth something. But I don't know. I feel like Sweeney and Neely are complacent. I don't think they have any motivation to do anything. I would make a big move. I would swing for the fences and try to get Pasternak's eyes open.
I don't think their mindset is that at all. I don't think Neely, Sweeney, the Jacobs for that matter, I don't think that's their approach. They are very conservative when it comes to making real hockey trades involving their own players, their own core. They have never, ever wanted to break up this core ever. But the argument you make, I totally agree with, is that it is time to shake up the core. If you can move on from Marchand, you move on from Marchand. Now, I don't know necessarily why the Rangers would want Brad Marchand at 36 years old. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. I can't say it's something I've given thought to before. Maybe you can DM me, a better argument as to why the Rangers would want Brad Marchand. Do the Bruins need somebody like Chris Kreider? Yes, but again, if I'm trading a guy like Marchand, I'm trading him and I'm trying to get a draft pick in return. It's about drafting and developing at this point. If you want to make the argument that it's time to shake up the core, yeah, I agree with you. But for the most part, it's time to start drafting and developing better, and you need more resources to do that. I would start to consider that. Now, listen, if you want to trade, for, Brady Tkachuk or whatever, okay, I mean, that's a different thing. But that would involve a key core piece going out. Of course, they're not moving on from Pastrnak, but, I mean, I would, in the right deal, I'd consider it. But they would never, ever consider it because they're way too conservative with this group, and they always have been. I'm sure along the way there was a hockey trade they could have made that could have gotten Jake DeBrusk out of here and, a defenseman in when they needed it, or Brandon Carlo out of here and gotten a forward in when they needed it. You know what I mean? Matt Grzelcyk way back in the day did this exercise last year. The 7 core Bruins players going back to 2016, obviously DeBrusk and Grzelcyk are gone, but you look at them and you say it's McAvoy, it's Pastrnak, it's Coyle, it's DeBrusk, it's Grzelcyk, it's, Carlo, and you look at that group and you're like, wow, these guys have been here for 7, 8, 9, 10 years at this point. Are they really the guys you want to build around? I like them. They're solid enough players, but it's almost like they're infallible. You can't make a trade involving any of those guys. And it's just not, you're going to hold yourself back if you're not going to be bold. If you're a Bruins fan calling for bold trades and bold moves, I agree with you. I just wouldn't count on it with Neely in charge and Sweeney in charge. I just wouldn't do it. Would not count on that. 617-779-0985. One open phone line right now. Grab it. We continue your thoughts on the Bruins. We can also mix in the Patriots move today. Red Sox reporting tonight from John Heyman. A lot to get to over the next 30 minutes, but we'll continue with your thoughts on the Bruins after that one tonight, which was not fun or enjoyable at all. Quick update. Right back with you. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins shutout tonight at the hands of the Canucks. 2-0 final score, 32 saves for Kevin Lankinen. haven't talked about Charlie McAvoy tonight. Do you like that? You like that turnover there? Leading to that empty netter? Another Bruin who needs to be better. And you're paying to be better. And has not lived up to his contract since he signed it, really. Charlie McAvoy needs to be better. Not sure how else to put it. You want him, at $9.5 million, you expect him to be one of the better defensemen in the NHL. And you expect him to positively impact games in the playoffs particularly, and he was a disaster in the playoffs last year. Not saying he's a terrible player, but you want more. You need more from Charlie McAvoy. You need more from this Bruins team, up and down the roster. I'm not a huge stats guy. You generally don't, hear me spitting out numbers here. But I saw this tonight from Boston Sports Info. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray, by the way. Bruins have now gone 244 consecutive minutes at home without scoring a goal in the third period. 244. 244. Let's see, they play 20 minutes a period. Let's do some quick math here. So that is 12 games plus. 12 plus games that the Bruins have gone without scoring a goal at home in the third period. That could be better. Bruins have just one third period goal at home the entire season, 260 minutes. They've been outscored 11-1 in the third period and outshot 120-85. I don't think the third period's been good.
Forgive me if you mentioned it, but that one goal was the first game of the year.
Yep. I've somehow managed to deduce that. 12 plus games, yep, they've played. Not good.
Not good.
No, could be better. Am I the a-hole for wanting better on that, Skaz? Is this a problem? Is this a me problem?
I don't know. We've been chastised, be better in the past. I just want the Bruins to be better.
I think that's a reasonable request. You could be better. Their better players could be better. They're not so good players. They're fine players. They're average players. What do you expect? They're not going to have any secondary scoring because they don't have a lot of talent. But their best players need to be better. Lindholm, McAvoy, Swayman was better tonight. Swayman's turned things around. You want some positives from the Joe Sacco era? They've been better defensively. They've been more organized. They should have won this game. They weren't terrible tonight. They weren't. I actually thought they played pretty well in some stretches. They were the better team for sure. They just can't score because individually they don't have enough talent. And David Pastrnak isn't good enough right now. And Pavel Zacha isn't good enough right now. And their power play sucks. Power play is a real problem. I had some hope. Even though they didn't really capitalize on the power play night one with Sacco, it did look a little bit better. That hope is quickly diminishing by the game. He has not done enough to fix the problems. Because again, it's not really about coaching in the end. Not about it. Mike's in Buffalo. Hey, Mike. Oh, Mike.
Yeah, this is Mike. Okay, I couldn't hear you. I don't know. I've been watching them for about 50 years, and it seems to me that I just don't ever remember a team that just can't. I mean, it's, goalies come in here on the other team sometimes stand on their head. It is unbelievable, and McAvoy. His first 2 years were his best years. He goes down and down and down and down and down. Plays half the game, and he's not that guy at the point on the power play.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think he's as big an impact player on the power play as you want him to be. I'm not convinced he's ever going to be that, by the way. He might be a second power play defenseman. You're paying him to be a first. So that's a problem right there. Sam in the car. Hey, Sam. Sam. Oh, Samuel. Sam! Bye, Sam. little late on the draw there. A couple of the callers in that segment. Trending towards the later portions of the night, Skaz. People are maybe tired, maybe, worn out from the game. I mean, how could you not be exhausted after watching that thing? I mean, they scored so many goals. And just tiring you out. You're getting on your feet to celebrate it over and over and over and over and over again. It's exhausting. It really is. 617-779-0985. We continue. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray here on this Tuesday night before Thanksgiving.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. More Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
was probably a good move by Joe Sacco. So I'll give him that. I mean, obviously, if the Bruins are going to play up to their capabilities, Jeremy Swayman's going to have to be a big part of that. $8 million a year goalie, all that. But I do find it interesting that it's kind of Swayman admitting that he wasn't ready to go to start the year. And it's one of the many problems the Bruins had at the start of this year. Jim Montgomery wanted to be the head coach of the St. Louis Blues and became the head coach of the St. Louis Blues. Talked about this a little bit before the show, but just to rehash real quick, I mean, it's unbelievable how forward the Blues have been about their hiring of Jim Montgomery. No wonder he went into the year with no contract. No wonder he didn't accept the Bruins offer. He knew he had the St. Louis thing, and I think the Bruins screwed up on that. Doesn't feel like it was a big secret. Doesn't feel like it was a big secret one bit. And the Bruins brought Montgomery back anyway, but they brought him back as a lame duck. And between the Montgomery thing and his lame duck status and Jeremy Swayman coming into the end of training camp, right before the season began, not having a training camp and not being ready to go, that set this team up and put them in a bad spot, and they haven't quite recovered from that. I think the way the Bruins handled this offseason has not helped their cause. So that's a quick note about that. A couple other sports stories coming out tonight. Skaz, if you appeared 9 out of 10 times at something, would you consider yourself a regular? Like, you are the producer of the Joe Murray Show, probably mathematically more than 9 out of 10 times. You are full-time. This is your job, right?
I would say yes.
Michael Jordan, who has played 88% of the snaps for the Patriots this year at left guard, was cut today by the Patriots. He has started 11 of the 12 games at left guard. That isn't good. Nope, not one bit. Is it a good sign if you're cutting your starting left guard in week 13 or whatever it is? Is that a good sign? Is that a sign of stability, Skaz?
I would say no.
That's not good. It's not good. It's amazing what a train wreck that thing is. That offensive line, which we all knew, by the way. I heard today on Zolak and Bertrand, they were replaying some Elliott Wolf stuff. They asked him during preseason, do you feel good about this offensive line? Is yes, we have all the faith in the world in this offensive line. We haven't figured out the combination yet, but, of course, we could put Drake May behind that situation. And here you are in week 12, 13, whatever it is. I don't know, and frankly don't care at this point. Are they 3-8 or 3-9? Does it really matter? They're not good. And you're cutting your starting left guard. Now, I don't know what this means for Cole Strange, whether he's coming back, whether they've found some guy off the scrap heap. They did sign, I'm sorry, I got to find his name, Lester Cotton, who does not sound like a football player. What does Lester Cotton sound like? It's kind of a news anchor type of thing.
I can see that.
Lester Cotton.
Weatherman.
Definitely get real weatherman vibes from him. He's the weatherman. Is it going to rain? I don't know if that's like a combination between Lester Holt and Cotton McKnight. It was Cotton McKnight, right? From Dodgeball?
Cotton McKnight is correct.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. You know what's a bold strategy? Cutting your left guard.
I don't think he's going to be able to see very well.
He will not be able to see, Cotton. That movie's 20 years old. Like, really, when you think about it.
Matt McCarthy, I would like you to check your Slack for, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but the rich just keep getting richer, it appears, in one sport. And nothing confirmed yet, but the man himself posting it has me, and I'm sure some Red Sox fans, not feeling so great.
So, this is Blake Snell, at Snellzilla4.
Great username. Not a tool in any way.
No, definitely not. Snellzilla4, blue check mark on Instagram. It's a photo of him in a Dodgers uniform, number 7, and all it says, the caption is, L.A. Goggly eyes, googly eyes, wide open eyes, Isaiah Thomas eyes. That's where this thing all started, right? Isaiah Thomas posting the eyes. was the first time I ever saw that. It's like, oh, what's happening? What's Isaiah Thomas doing? Blake Snell. Have we seen any reporting on this on Twitter at all?
Just our very own Tyler Milliken, all caps, tweeting as usual, what is going on? And I believe Jared Karabis chimed in with a whelp. So no concrete reporting.
So, yes, everybody's now saying what's going on. Is Blake Snell going to the Los Angeles Dodgers? The Red Sox were rumored, and not just rumored, were reported to have had some contact with Snell. Now, I'll be totally honest. I'm good on Blake Snell. Max Fried, Corbin Burns, those are the two guys I want. But Blake Snell, apparently, according to him, may be going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't know if this is just him trolling. Who the hell knows? But there you go. Sean McAdam reporting earlier today. The Red Sox haven't been ignoring the starting pitching market. Having already met with Blake Snell, it's possible this was over Zoom and not in person. The Red Sox are also monitoring Corbin Burns and Max Fried. The Dodgers can have Blake Snell. That's fine by me. But I want Fried. Fried is the guy I really want. That, I'm a fan. I am a big fan. So there you go. Maybe some news. Maybe we'll have some confirmation in the final 2 minutes of the program, but something to watch. The Dodgers, of course, by the way, not stopping. The Dodgers serious about competing. Are the Red Sox serious about competing? Which brings us to a report tonight from John Heyman. Skaz, do you trust John Heyman?
No.
You should not. John Heyman is a notorious Scott Boras mouthpiece, who, by the way, represents Juan Soto. John Heyman, writing a column for the New York Post, Red Sox pushing hard for Juan Soto in rising Yankees threat. Red Sox are increasingly seen as a legitimate contender in the sweepstakes for the generational slugger, as word is they are stepping up efforts to lure the superstar hitter away from the historic AL East nemesis. I don't buy it one bit, and this is the biggest sign to me yet that the Red Sox are not actually a serious contender for Juan Soto. This is a Scott Boras plant piece if I've ever seen one in my life. He's driving up the price for the Yankees. He's trying to drive up the price for the Yankees, and the presence of the Red Sox is Scott Boras trying to drive up the price for the Yankees, which gives me pause too, because Corbin Burns and Max Fried, I believe both, and you'd have to confirm this for me, Skaz, I believe both are Scott Boras clients. And John Morosi was reporting today that the Red Sox, when they don't land Soto, will pivot towards Burns and Fried. I wonder if the Red Sox are being used, if the name of the Red Sox